Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean, Let's Talk Crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is October 29th, 2025, and I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news first. Everything I've said in the recent past with the technicals has played out and is still 100% valid. So, quick recap. This massive move in altcoins has yet to be invalidated. It's still in every single chart, every single metric, every single indicator suggests that we get this massive move in altcoins. Okay? It's there. The bad news is that based off of what I'm seeing in the Bitcoin chart, altcoins have about 24 hours to move until Bitcoin begins its next bigger move down. Okay, so I'm going to explain all of that and more in this episode. If that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. So, if you watch the channel, you'll know I've said before, being that I consider myself an expert in Elliot wave analysis, that's more of how my brain thinks and captures price action, processes price action. There's not much in the way of timing the market using Elliott wave analysis. There's not much. There's one thing, but other than that, the best I can do is give my analysis, do my assessment of what's likely happening at various levels, and then in terms of timing, I have no fucking clue. I have no clue, right? I can say soon, soonish, far off, if it's a high time frame thing, but to be honest, it's very hard to say. I can say when something's likely invalidated and still valid. I can say when something is likely happening because I can see it on all time frames, but I can't tell you exactly when. There's one exception to that. Elliott wave analysis affords clarity in timing the market when it has to do with the relationship between wave 1 and wave 2. Okay, so that is something that I've been afforded in the charts, and so I'm going to go out on a limb and proffer a timing call. So a time prediction, if you will, as to when something's going to happen. And I'm going to try to qualify my prediction. I'm really trying to be responsible and conservative because I don't want to give up expectations, but I'm going to show you what I see. Okay? So that's the preface. Now, we're looking at Bitcoin, and yes, what I've been saying in the past few episodes, everything has been accurate and playing out to a T. This doesn't always happen. Okay, I was saying that Bitcoin's likely topped at 116, right, for all these reasons. And every single time we come here, a lot of people are under the impression that we're just gonna rock it up. And what happens? We find resistance and we break down. I said that it was very likely that this was some sort of zigzag, ABC zigzag, where we go up, down, and up again, but that's the end of the road. And I said for many different reasons, that's the end of the road for Bitcoin, okay? And that, I did expect another move down before another move up, before the bigger move down, okay? All that is still valid. Nothing's changed. I did, however, anticipate altcoins to have moved by now, given that Bitcoin has already started this leg down, right? And this leg down, I'm referring to this yellow flat correction, which is the B wave of this purple flat correction. But it's basically the completion, the final wave of this flat correction that we've been forming ever since the 12th, the 13th, yeah? So that is right now what we're in. We're in the impulsive move down. But as you all know, nothing happens in a straight line. We do not expect Bitcoin to just fall the way down. By the way, for those of you who are really careful or very fine observers, or how do you say this? Careful observers of my charts, you'll see that I've moved this C wave down a bit. I had it at this level before for this yellow flat correction, and I moved it down a bit. I'm going to tell you why exactly that is. All right, enough suspense. Let's go into what I'm seeing on Bitcoin's chart that gives me a high degree of confidence to say that altcoins need to move out of the way in about 24 hours from the time of recording. So it's about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a little after 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or else they are also going to be going down, because Bitcoin sets the trend, always has. They're going to be going down with Bitcoin as it matriculates down this impulsive wave. Now, again, the only reason I'm able to speak confidently on a timing of 24 hours, this has to happen in this time frame, is because we're dealing with pure impulsive price action. As per my best analysis, looking at this as a flat correction, which I believe it is, this is a B wave, this is an A wave, everything's played out. This is very much likely the C wave, or the last move, which is always pure impulse, and pure impulse can be counted in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, right? We know that. That's Elliot Wave Analysis 101. And wave 1 and 2, the first two waves, have a symmetrical time measure, meaning the time it takes you to form wave 1 is approximately the time it takes you to form wave 2. This is not a big brain analysis. That's all I'm doing here. And I'm observing the fact that because we're in, I believe it's very likely that we've started this impulsive move to the downside. We are in wave 1, or the initial wave down. And let's zoom in right here. This right here, this big wick right here, informs me that we are changing trend ever so briefly. So this right here is a wave, and this is a break of structure. When I see a big wave like that, it's breaking structure. It's saying, hold up. We're not going, we're going to take a quick detour. The quick detour is to form wave 2. In my best estimation. So right now, on the hourly time frame, I'm counting the orthodox tops. So, okay, remember, last we spoke, Bitcoin was up here, and I said, this is it for Bitcoin. You're not moving past this point. At some point in time, altcoins are going to, gain dominance, and Bitcoin's probably going to hover, and altcoins are probably going to move. They didn't. What happened? Altcoins kind of hung out. They're still exactly where we left them. I'm going to show you that in a second. It's not like they died. They stayed where they were. They didn't do anything, essentially. They went up and down, up and down, up and down. They've been consolidating for about 13 days. We're going to see that in a second. But all I'm saying is, Bitcoin is like, okay, I'm going to start my move down. I'm like, hold up, bro. Altcoins have yet to put in that disbelief rally, that hope rally that I've been advertising for I don't know how long. Please wait, my friend. It's like, no, I think I'm going to get started. Interesting insight from that. I'm going to say this. Don't expect altcoins to move as Bitcoin goes sideways. Expect altcoins, if they're to move during this disbelief rally, to the upside and gain dominance over Bitcoin, expect them to move as Bitcoin goes up correctively. Meanwhile, they go up impulsively. That's the insight I've gotten from this, because I thought altcoins were going to move as Bitcoin went sideways at this top, right? You have this idea, this narrative that's been drilled into crypto market participants for so long. Bitcoin tops, capital rotates into altcoins, and then they move. Bitcoin topped, this is the local top, capital supposedly rotates into altcoins, then they move. We know technically it doesn't work that way, but that's the idea. And so you're expecting that, but that's not what happened. Bitcoin went ahead and fell from its resistance, but it started to fall from its resistance. So the 24 hours I'm talking about is basically the time it's going to take Bitcoin to correct in wave 2. Now, how do I get 24 hours? Very simple. Like I told you, there's a symmetry between wave 1 and wave 2 in Elliot wave analysis. You can look at that in Prechter and Frost. That's an advanced concept that you won't find in basic Elliot wave manuals. But you can see here the orthodox high, where the top of wave 1 is more likely than not here, right there. Okay, so if I start counting just on the hourly time frame, how many candles from my orthodox top to my break of structure, right? I know that this is a break of structure. You do not get big candles like this without a break of structure. It's going to break structure some way, somehow. That's either going to signify a wave 2 or a wave 4 or something, or an A wave. That's a break of structure. When you see a strong hammer candle in a downtrend, that's a break of structure. So you're expecting a reversal of trend, if not an intermediate or intermediary reversal of trend, right? So like a wave 2, right? So this right here, wave 1, and again, if we count all the candles, you see that it's 1 day, 1 hour, so 25 hours. So if I did 25 hours before my break of trend, I can count 25 hours until wave 2 is complete, which would give me Thursday at around the same time. So Thursday afternoon. So tomorrow around this time, I'm expecting Bitcoin to have done the following. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wave 2 typically comes between the 0.5 and the 618 of wave 1. That's around here, around this level right here. So I'm expecting this within the next 24 hours. Within that period of time, I'm expecting altcoins to move out of the way, because what comes next is a further move down. And it seems unlikely, given what I'm seeing on the charts with altcoins, that the bullish ones can experience a big move down, because they're at high time frame, small time frame supports. That's the analysis. That's where I'm getting 24 hours from, because I noticed this an hour ago. Okay, so around tomorrow, same time, tomorrow afternoon, I'm expecting a large drawdown. And so again, Elliott wave analysis doesn't offer much in the way of timing the market, except in trending markets. But then understand, when the market starts trending, the Ellioticians who know their craft become that much more lethal. Not only do we have support levels, not only do we have resistance levels, not only do we have, so many more insights into how the market moves, but also when the market moves at key points in time. It is a cheat code. But again, it doesn't work in correcting markets, and most of the time, consolidating markets. Most of the time, markets are in consolidation. Very, very seldom are they in pure trend. So that's just a FYI. If we do start trending, you might think I have superpowers, but I don't. It's just the phase of the market cycle that we're in. Okay? So this is what I see for Bitcoin. That's why I see it. Now, what about altcoins? They haven't done... Before I leave you, why did I move my target? Because look, here I said this is a nested flat correction, more likely than not, right? because I'm like, I don't like the fact that you had this and then this is going by itself. No. This got to be a nested flat correction. I don't know if I can really explain that briefly. So maybe that didn't make sense, but it's quite clear. Essentially, what I'm saying is, even though Bitcoin comes down, don't expect it to continue down without going up first. And that's really clear if you can see the corrective patterns that I'm showing you here. But if you can't and you don't understand it, it might not make sense, but I don't really have time to explain that fully right here. But just stay with me. Provided that I'm correct. Why did I move this down? Well, because if this is wave 1, we have mathematically in Elliott wave analysis, and this is again also an advanced concept that you wouldn't get in a primer manual. You'd only see or explore something like this in Elliott waves or in we call it the Bible, in Proctor and Frost. I don't even remember the title of the freaking book because nobody ever calls it the long title of the book. Proctor and Frost 7th edition, that's what I call it. Anyway, you need to come down a minimum, given wave 1, because we have wave 1, and now we have wave 2, because wave 2 always comes to between 0.5 and 618, typically hits 618. We can measure the full extent of the full minimum range of the full impulse, and that gives a minimum target of 99k, 99.9 or whatever this is, 99.9. So I basically used my Fibonacci extension tool, took my purported wave 1, purported wave 2, and then measured the 2236 Fibonacci extension to get that 99.9. That's why I moved it down. So don't be shocked if tomorrow afternoon, close of market, you see Bitcoin run down to this level, a little lower. A lot of people are going to think, oh, that's it, party's over. Those targets that we were talking about, we've been talking about forever, right? The 90Ks, all that stuff where there's a lot of liquidity, the next likely target. They're going to think that's next, but it's not. Please remember, you have to put in that final C wave to complete this flat correction first. So you're going to come down a little lower than most people think, but you're going to recover. And again, that is going to be a big move in altcoins. That's going to be the biggest move in altcoins. Okay, so I think this one is the first, and that's going to be, you're probably going to get some more over here, smaller moves, but this is going to be a massive move in altcoins, or at least it should. Okay, so that's why I moved that target down a little bit. But again, reminder, everything that I've said up until now for the Bitcoin and its price action on the small time frame has happened almost to the dollar. But what about altcoins? And that's probably why you're here. That's why I'm here. I don't care about Bitcoin right now. It's, hanging out around this, price range. It's ranging. It's not doing anything interesting. I'm looking for action. I'm looking for impulsive price action. I'm looking to print. Now, what about altcoins? Here's the good news. Remember, in the teaser, I said everything that I've said in the recent past is held true. That includes the positive, the optimistic outlook on the big alt season and the beginnings of that big alt season, the disbelief rally, the hope rally, all that stuff, whatever you want to call it. And you can see that here. And what are you looking at here? Remember, this is our Bitcoin dominance chart, right? For those of you who do not know, when this chart goes down, it's good. When this chart goes down, alts are pumping. When it goes up, alts are dumping. And we spied, last we spoke, we were talking about how we are in a trend, okay? And this trend is a downtrend, which is good. Remember, the downtrend is what we're looking at on the higher time frames. That's what we've been in since October 10th. And this is an intra-wave correction, basically a counter trend, right? And then trend, counter trend, which is a rising wedge that played out for almost 2 weeks, if not 2 weeks. It's been more than 2 weeks. But you can see, I said, the fact that it's a rising wedge, it's probably going to break down just probabilistically. And if it does break down, Bitcoin dominance continues to trend down. That means alts are going to pump. All that is true. Nothing's changed. And I understand. People think I don't understand. I'm in the market too. I'm not just analyzing this from some, neutral vantage point. Obviously, I try to stay neutral in my analysis, or else my analysis can't be good. If I'm like, come on. Yeah, I'm doing that. Part of me is doing that. But with experience, with time, there's a part of me that's a bit detached. When I'm doing my analysis, I'm not thinking of my positions. I'm not thinking of my portfolio. I'm not thinking of my stop losses. I'm not thinking of my liquidation points. I'm just looking at the data. And that comes with time. That comes with experience. I'm not perfect. But as objectively as I can be, this is extremely bullish for altcoins and nothing's changed. There's nothing bullish about this chart. For altcoins to puke, you would need this to be bullish. You would need Bitcoin dominance to go up. Right now, you've just broken down from a 15-day, or no, it's about 2 weeks, 14-day rising wedge. The breakdown was clinical and textbook, right? You went from the top of the wedge, midline, bottom, you broke down from the wedge, you retested the bottom support of the wedge as resistance, and now you're breaking down from that. So there's nothing at all suggesting that you're not going to get this move, but I understand why people are skeptical. I understand why people are annoyed and pissed off and sending me nasty emails. I get it. I'm not even mad at you, and I don't even take it personally. I fucking get it. It is annoying. It's beyond annoying. There's no word for it. We've been waiting for so fucking long, and it hasn't happened, and it's just like won't do anything. It literally won't do anything. But this chart tells us it's coming. And again, I've told you before, I can't time anything. There are a few exceptions where I can. I can try. All I can see is I can look at the chart and say, yeah, this is coming. This is coming. Can I tell you when? No. But I'm giving you 24 hours just because that's what the charts are telling me. Within 24 hours, something has to happen or else they're going down. This chart suggests that they're not going down. So put two and two together. If the Bitcoin dominance chart tells me alts are going to pump, and Bitcoin's chart is telling me Bitcoin's going to dump, but within 24 hours, or after 24 hours, but within 24 hours, it's going to countercorrect. It's going to go up slightly. Then this is what I'm telling you. Altcoins are likely to do something within 24 hours. When I say altcoins, again, I'm referring to the bullish altcoins. I'm referring to those altcoins that are actually going to move off of support. There's a lot of altcoins that are at resistance and they're going to dump just like Bitcoin. They're at resistance just like Bitcoin. It's up to you to determine which ones are which. All right, so that's the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is why it's extremely encouraging. That's the part of the good news that I teased in the intro. It's still there. Nothing's changed. If anything, it's even more convincing. It's more clear that yes, this massive uptrend, this massive rising wedge is going to break down. It's going to break down, and it's breaking down. Very unlikely that I've never seen that before. This just doesn't make any sense. Technically, it doesn't make any sense. I've never seen it. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Whole thing is a rising wedge. The whole thing is a bearish reversal pattern. This is going to break down. The question is when. That's the real question. Okay, and I'm saying within 24 hours. All right. The next piece of information that we have that's also really convincing and that hasn't changed in terms of being convincing for a bullish altcoin breakout is this chart. This is the others chart. Again, it doesn't represent every altcoin, but the majority of altcoins that are bullish look like this, something like this, okay? And what they've been doing, please understand, after the 10th, where you pretty much went to zero with a lot of altcoins. I mean, you wicked down crazy. You cleared all the order books, all the leverage, all the liquidations, all the stop losses, and you came back up almost immediately. And it took 3 days, about 3 days after the 10th, to make this high, okay? Oops. So from the 10th, it took almost exactly 3 days time to make this high. And from that point, which was the 13th, remember the liquidation event happened the 10th. From the 13th, you've just been consolidating. That's not a bad thing. I understand it's annoying, but understand, technically, that's what you want. If it's fast, it won't last. If it's slow, let it grow. Understand also what the consolidation means and understand what you're doing in the consolidation. So again, since that high that we formed on the 13th, it's been about 16 days, so a little bit over 2 weeks. What have you done? You formed a quintessential bullish reversal pattern. Okay, look, boom, 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 boom. You have your left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder. That's bullish if you're a pattern trader. Also, note the W reversal pattern. When you see a W reversal pattern, chances are you get a reversal of trend. Chances are you get continuation of the trend. Okay, you either get a reversal or continuation. The trend since the 10th has been up. This W reversal suggests a continuation of the trend. That's extremely positive. So you look at the others chart, you look at Bitcoin dominance chart. This is why you should be bullish. It's not some random wishful belief thinking, I hope and pray on a star type thing. This is why we do the analysis. This is why, even though it's been years since the altcoin market has done this, years, this is why you call for an alt season, not because some guy told you, but because the evidence is overbearing. It's just like it's in front of you. You'd have to close your eyes and I don't know. It'd be crazy to think it wasn't after having seen, if you know how to read these charts, looking at the evidence, what else is there? And yes, I get it. Because it hasn't happened, people say it's not going to happen. And because nothing's happened for so long, they're even more emboldened in that opinion. But that also is ludicrous given the evidence. The evidence is overwhelming. Okay? So you're going to get a continuation of this trend from the 10th. And I didn't mention, but I wanted to, the fact that you've been slowly, emphasis on slowly, going sideways. This is a principle called correcting in time. There are certain analysts that believe invariably, whenever you form a big wick like this, you always have to come back and fill in at least 50% of the wick. That I would call sloppy Elliott wave analysis. Because in Elliott wave analysis, the minimal retracement for a zigzag is 50%. And that is the shallowest retracement, the shallowest corrective retracement that you can get. I think that's where that comes from. But again, it's sloppy Elliott wave analysis because if you refine your analysis, you notice that for most altcoins, this is pure impulse. If this is pure impulse, you do not have to correct minimally to 50%. The minimum correction for wave 2 is actually 38.2%. Exceedingly rare, but that is technically the minimum retracement for wave 2. You don't see it. I don't think I've ever seen it, if maybe once or twice, literally in years. But you don't even have to think this is a wave 2, and it's unlikely a wave 2. You may just be getting a continuation of a trend that doesn't correct in terms of a wave 2 for a while because you're looking at a larger uptrend. That is the more refined analysis, and that larger uptrend, granted, hasn't been seen in the market for 1,000+ days, but it doesn't mean that this isn't that instance. Do you understand? Just because something hasn't come across for 1,600 days doesn't mean it hasn't come across now. This is partly why it's called the disbelief rally, because everybody's saying, well, it hasn't happened in 1,600 days, hasn't happened in 2,000 days. Why would it ever happen now? That's bad analysis, because everything changes. Even long-term corrections change, and going from corrective price action to impulsive price action eventually happens. It's once in a blue moon, but it eventually happens, and I think that happened on October 10th, to be honest. So that's my analysis. That's why I'm still optimistic for the big disbelief rally, and you can call it the hope rally, because remember, the psychology of the market cheat sheet, I'm not going to pull it up, but you can pull it up for yourselves. The disbelief rally runs into the hope rally. And actually, it's disbelief for people who maybe they have no idea, or there's no sense that the altcoin move, the altcoin rally is even possible. For them, it's a disbelief rally. For people who know with a high degree of probability that you are going to get an altcoin move, a big altcoin move, an alt season, or that altcoins are going to usher in the bull market of 2025, then it's a hope rally, because they've been waiting for it, they've been thinking about it, they've been wishing for it, they've been anticipating it, but it hasn't happened, and once they finally see it, it becomes a hope rally. So this is what I think is happening right now, the disbelief hope rally. This is what the charts are telling me. Guys, if you got value, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you would want to work with me one-on-one personally, consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, where you can where you can choose up to 5 altcoins that I help you decide on. I help you make a balanced portfolio, but I think most importantly, I help you determine those altcoins that are ready to start this 2025 bull market. That's so important, because like I said, some altcoins are already at resistance. They're not going to move like those that are going to start the 2025 bull run. Okay? And then I identify high probability resistance and support levels to help snowball profits, and that's an added plus. So that's the crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. The link to sign up to that is in the pinned comment below. Last but not least, if you're interested in working with me just on a one-off basis, if you just want insights onto one altcoin or one stock or commodity or whatever, or one indicator, anything that I can look at a chart and analyze, that's the single asset analysis service. You just order that with the payment methods below. Send me an email, what you want me to look at, and I'm going to do my analysis, record it within 24 hours, and send it back to you. All right, guys, that's it for me. Take care. Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours. Bye.
Too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin what's happening?